I'm Ben Meiselas from the MeidasTouch network. As we see more and more text messages and emails and under oath deposition transcripts get released in connection with Dominion's $1.6 billion defamation lawsuit against Fox and its reporters, and we see a lot of these deposition transcripts and text messages from people like Tucker Carlson and Sean Hannity and Laura Ingraham, I am reminded of the interview we did on the MeidasTouch podcast a few years back. We did it actually in August of 2021 with Laura Ingraham's brother, Curtis Ingraham, who hasn't really been interviewed the way we did on many other networks. And he provided such incredible insight into his sister's pathology. And now seeing the text messages of Ingraham admitting that she was spreading election disinformation for ratings, I'm reminded just how spot on Curtis Ingraham's analysis is. And yes, it is Ingraham. In the interview, Curtis Ingraham said, no, our last name is pronounced Ingraham, for all those people who say it's Ingram. No, it's actually Ingraham. And in this interview with Curtis is a Wall Street banker turned educator, and he breaks it down so masterfully here. So here's a bit of a blast from the past, but here's the interview we did with Curtis Ingraham here on the MeidasTouch network, where he breaks down what is really going on with his sister. Play the clip.
I think the pathology comes from familial soil, and I've used that term in the past. So my father was a Nazi sympathizer. There was a copy of Mein Kampf on the living room bookshelf. He was abusive. He was an alcoholic. So we are in a family of anger, abuse, and I think that is what has happened to my sister. People say, "Well, how did you turn out so different?" So in my life, I found love, and my sister has not found love, and so she's gone on this path where she's being honored and rewarded for the type of things that we learned in our childhood. She's getting credit for that anger and that destruction. There's no solutions being put forward. It's all just criticism and smearing. It's very Trumpian. She and Trump have a mindset, I think, that's very similar. The history with my sister, we were very, very close at one time. We would travel together. We would visit on the holidays. It was the type of thing where I would finish her sentences on a daily call. And
when was that?
mine.
How old were you then?
This was in the 90s. This was in the mid 90s. And what happened was the relationship started to fray when she took a stand against gay marriage. And so she had experienced my relationship with my partner of 12 years, who I ushered to death's door. And so when gay marriage came up, she took a stance of, no, we're just going to have to agree to disagree on this. And so I kind of pulled back a little bit from her. But then later on, I was online and I saw a blog of something that she had done while she was at Dartmouth. So she was the editor of the Dartmouth Review, which is a conservative rag paper, she and Dinesh D'Souza. And it was before technology, so there were no phones, cell phones, or computers. But she sent her reporters in undercover, and they took the names of the people that were in that Gay Alliance meeting, and they published them in the paper. And in this blog that I read, it said that one kid actually committed suicide. Now, I can't verify that, but when I saw that, I sent her an email and I said, Laura, is this true? And she wrote back, it was legal language. I do not respond to blah, blah, blah. And so in my heart, I knew she's guilty. And so that's when I really pulled away. And it was, of course, when she went full blown Trump, in 2016, that I could not stay quiet any longer. And I'm just kind of calling out hypocrisy as I see it. Her statements, her meanness, the way she's smearing people. I mean, you look, it all started with LeBron James, taking the knee and her saying to him, just shut up and dribble. I mean, I don't understand that type of person that attacks like this. And my sister, what I've learned is she is one who doesn't listen to understand. Hers is she listens to attack, and you can see it in her face. You can see it when she's talking to people on her show. There is no debate. There is no constructive debate. She has no expertise. This is what I'm saying. But people listen to her and they think, oh my God, she is the pillar of truth. She knows her facts. She does not. She is spinning. So she's a spin artist. And so these people, it's easy to buy into her spin because anger is easier than, constructive solutions. I cannot stay quiet. And there is, we have history in common, and I know things, about her I have to reveal the hypocrisy that's going on, the immigration stance. She's got 3 immigrant children that she adopted. So how is that allowed? The vaccination, anti-messaging around vaccines. She's been vaccinated. They have. Murdoch got early access to the vaccinations. All his star assets were vaccinated. And yet they're spinning a counter tale, which I find is very destructive. And it's disinformation. And it's a spin that people are following. And those tropes that she throws out, the elites, the fake news, the biomedical state, socialism. And these people tap into those because she's so clever at spinning it.
Do you think she, kind of knows she is creating this fiction? Like, do you think she goes and it's like, I got a good one here. We call it biomedical, and then she's like, do you think it's that, planned out?
I do. She has a conscience. And unfortunately, that conscience is getting dimmer and dimmer as she goes further in her career. But the type of behavior to continue to do what is wrong and inherently a lie, I think, isn't that the definition of sociopath?
We definitely need to get Curtis Ingraham back on the show. He was an incredible guest. Brothers looked a bit younger back then, huh? That was, it was in August of 2021. Feels like a much longer time ago. Hope you enjoyed those portions of the interview with Curtis. I think it is illuminating in your understanding of who is Laura Ingraham, what's the pathology there, and frankly, the likely pathology of a lot of these lying hosts who spread this election disinformation on Fox. I'm Ben Meiselas from the MeidasTouch Network. Please do me a favor, hit the subscribe button. We're on our way to 1 million subscribers. We call it marching to 1 million in March. So hit subscribe. Also, check out the MeidasTouch podcast I do with my brothers. Wherever you get your podcast, just search MeidasTouch Podcast, subscribe, and leave a 5-star review. And while you're at it, check out patreon.com/MeidasTouch, patreon.com/MeidasTouch. I think you will enjoy the exclusive content there. Until next time, I'm Ben Meiselas from the MeidasTouch Network.
Love this video? Then you'll love the MeidasTouch podcast. Listen as my brothers and I break down the latest news and chat with top political leaders on the fastest growing pro-democracy podcast in the world. New episodes drop every Tuesday and Friday. Add the MeidasTouch podcast right now wherever you listen to your podcasts.